And who do I have the honor of sitting next to on the bus?
Nugent Smith.
And Nugent, you're an artist.
I am, yes.
And we're going to see some of your work today?
We won't see it today, but we'll get a chance to see it on Thursday.
On Thursday?
I'm at the Museum of Latin American Art in Long Beach.
Okay.
I'm part of the Relational Undercurrents exhibition that's there.
Now, what's the Relational Undercurrent exhibition?
So that exhibition looks at contemporary art from the Caribbean archipelago.
And are you from the Caribbean archipelago?
Yes, I am.
Where from? Which one?
I'm a descendant from Trinidad and Haiti. So my mother's from Trinidad, my father's from Haiti, and I lived in Trinidad my early part of my childhood.
Okay. And can you tell, since my readers can't see your art right now, can you tell us something about not necessarily the piece we're going to be seeing later, but your approach to art and what you communicate?
Yeah, so my work really deals a lot with the impacts of colonialism on the African diaspora, and in particular in the Caribbean. It's a broad topic, but it allows me to be able to really explore this topic from many different aspects. It gives me the flexibility to play. And to also fuse in a lot of my personal interests, like I'm really interested in architecture, so that's, for example, is one way I'm able to look at the impacts of colonialism through the architecture that you may find in the Caribbean. I'm also interested in the psychological implications that have extended throughout generations of colonialism and subsequently the transatlantic slave trade. So these are topics that I look at in my work, and I'm interdisciplinary, so I do drawings, paintings, performance art, and assemblage, primarily using reclaimed materials.
Do you look at the impact of the African diaspora on Norte Americano art?
Okay, so Norte Americano, you're speaking Spanish saying North America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, we should just say the Americas.
The Americas.
Yeah, okay.
I am interested in that because when we say diaspora, it's really all of these places that we have spread out. Mm-hmm. So I am interested in that. Anytime I come across something, whether it's artwork or literature or films or something that kind of talks about this legacy or this history of the spreading, I definitely am interested in. And I think that my work itself, although it's rooted in the subject matter I just explained, I think it also has a broader reach in terms of the content and the media that I use, the ways that it's connected to a lot of historical art practices and movements as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm in music. So I'm familiar with the contributions of the African diaspora to Afro-Cuban beats, son jarocho in Mexico, the cumbia coming out of Colombia, jazz and blues in the United States. In fact, many people argue with some strength that almost all popular music in the United States originated with the African slave trade, and we don't need to debate that here. But there's been a huge influence. Now you look at the other way, though, at the impact of colonialism. Can you give me an example?
Yeah. Okay, so one example. Okay, which one do I draw from? Let's take. Let's take architecture, for instance.
Okay.
When you have a lot of the so a contemporary situation, we looked at this Hurricane Irma that just came through the Caribbean. In Barbuda, they said that the 90 to 95% of the buildings have been damaged, destroyed.
Okay.
The 2 or 3 most strongest buildings on the island were the actual government buildings that were designed after and built according to plans that were drawn up in France.
Okay.
The type of style of architecture that you may find throughout different parts of the Caribbean usually reflect the architectural styles of that period of colonialism. However, they had to make a lot of modifications for the climate, as well as the materials that are available. So instead of making something out of stone, with the very ornate like lattice works and things like that, you would find it made out of wood. But then they also had to be conducive to allowing air to flow through these spaces. So this is one example of modifying things based on climate and also based on materials. Language is another thing that I'm really interested in. So
let me stop you for a second there.
Okay.
Back to the architecture.
Yeah.
Given the depth of your knowledge, are you also an architect as well as an artist?
No, I always say that if I was coming back in another life, I'd come back as a chef or as an architect. Yeah, just really interested in like places people move through. You know, how we move, how the location actually affects the way that we interact in a space.
Well, what did you study art?
I studied art.
What university?
Seton Hall University. I did my undergrad. I started actually as a political science major, and then I switched over to fine art in my last year of college, and then I got my MFA at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Oh, okay, all right. A city with great architecture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'm going to run out of